Welcome to Code Engineering. Today we're going to talk about GRPC in Java and how do we organize our code so that it is almost ready for the production, for real production. Because what I see is mostly in the tutorial out there, they put everything in one code base, like the client, the model, the service, which is not what it is supposed to be if you are working in a real situation, in a multi-team situation, because how you organize your code is almost similar to how you organize your team. I forget who mentioned it before, but it is one of the known knowledge in the software engineering industry. So how you organize your code is quite similar on how you organize your team. So it's pretty important. So what we are going to build here is actually what I'm showing you at the moment in this screen. Basically, we're going to have three package, okay, client, the model, and the service. So this gRPC is using protobuf as its interface definition language, or IDL, and what it does, it defines what is the contract that our service, that the one that we create, actually having. Okay, and the way we structure this is we will have these three things. The hello service is basically the server that providing our service, and the Hello Proto model is basically the IDL, the interface definition language, that defining what are the operation that our service can do and what are the data model that is actually used as the data transfer object between the service to the client. So why this proto model is actually separated into a different package? Because it will be shared to the client of the service. The client of the service need to know what is our service about, because in this gRPC, basically a type of RPC, remote procedure call. So how do we make a remote things? We can call it procedurally. Of course, we need to know what it is. And how do we know? We know it from some kind of contract. And what is this some kind of contract? That's the IDL, that's the protobuf, that's what we will write in this hello proto model. Okay. Now, finally, this is the client. The client is the one who consumes the service. It will have to share the dependency on this proto model, on this IDL, so it knows about the service, so it can call the service. Okay, so that's what we are going to be creating here. Now, let's start from creating our workspace. So let's create new project. It's quite slow. So we'll do the Java GRPC workspace. Okay, using Maven. Okay, everything looks good. We'll create this. Let's do a new window. We'll keep this window because I will copy paste several things from the one I've created before. So from here, we already have the workspace. Basically, this is a method that I'm using also in my real work environment. Though of course we use a completely different kind of frameworks in Amazon, but basically the concept is similar. So once we have our workspace, this will host all of our packages or Java module of the IntelliJ here. So first we will create the hello proto model. So this is where we design our protobuf and so forth, the protobuf model. Okay, so once we have that, we'll tidy up the pom.xml of the Maven. So let's look at here. We basically need to have what you call that, this dependency of the GRPCs and the Maven plugin, so that we can use this Maven to actually create, generate, to code generate the Java gRPC versions of our protobuf, because protobuf is actually not limited to Java. It can hold multiple language. For example, I also have another video tutorial on how to use gRPC for beginner in Golang. Okay, so for that, let's start. First of all, I think we'll need to make it complete the identifications of our Hello Proto model, so it has the artifact ID and so on. Okay. The reason I need to do this because I want to delete the parent part of it. Because this workspace, normally I use it just to host the project that I'm intended about. So I don't want this to be a direct parent of it. So for example, if my other teammate want to work on something related to this, they don't need to have the same workspace as me, right? So this is not a real parent. This parent is just for my local things. That's why I delete that parenting to the workspace and then make a full definitions of this package. Then we need the dependency. Let's just copy paste it. Basically, there are three dependencies here. Is the gRPC photograph, the stub, and the annotation API that we need. And to know what you need, you can also go to this one. This is basically the GitHub. I'll later on put the link into the descriptions of this video. Now let me copy paste this. Basically, I'll just copy paste everything. So this is the plugin part, right? I'll just copy paste everything here. To be noticed, this list of things that I have here is it's actually a smaller version than the one actually listed down here, because I'm dividing my package into three different things: the service, the model, and the client, right? And they don't need everything. So there you go. Now we have our Maven for the proto model ready. Once we got this ready, the next thing is to write our protobuf. And because we are relying on this Maven plugin to actually uh, make a code generated the Java versions out of our protobuf file, we need to follow some conventions on where to put the protobuf file. And that would be in under src main. You have to create a folder called proto, and underneath it is your proto file. Okay, so for this, let's do it. Main, create a new folder called proto, and then this one is the free. You can name whatever you want. Was it hello model or hello proto? Oh, well, no, it doesn't matter. Let's just say hello model. I do hello protobuf, hello service, refactor, rename. Now Once we got this, we will write these simple things, okay? Syntax, package, options, and so forth. Let us write it down. So the syntax will obviously proto3, and then we will have the package. This will follow what your Java code generated package file name will be. So in this case, let me just follow this one. com and code engineering.protobuf. Usually I like to put an extra, now what you call this, name spacing here, protobuf, to be clear that this is a protobuf model, because there are times that I want to have, or we do have already, an existing system which we model already, and we want it to be clear, easily differentiated, which one is the protobuf model, which one is our, what is it called, Pojo in Java, right? Plain old Java object. That's why I usually like to do this. And then we need to also, it is an option to make Java multiple files to be true, because at least for me, I like my code generated into multiple different files rather than having it all in one big files, right? And then we can start modeling our response and request. So RPC is basically an operational base. So what we need, usually we need an operation, we need an input and output. Let's make it simple. For this hello, we will have hello request, and the hello request will have a string called message. And then we need to define what this is called as a tag. So basically this equal to 1 is like underneath it. Later on it will be what is making GRPC very slim. This one value will actually be used to symbolize your variables. So that's how GRPC is pretty efficient in terms of its wire uh, size compared to, for example, REST API. So we have the request and response, pretty simple, just have a string message. And then we will have the service itself. Hello service. Yeah, hello service, right? Oh, it's called service. And then for the operation, it start with RPC. We will have greetings with the input of hello request and the response of hello response. What was this? The returns. Okay, now there you go. That is our basic protobuf model. Okay, what you need to do then is just cd to the hello proto model, and then we will do mvn clean package. Once we do this, we should have our code generated. Let us see. So there is a target there. If I refresh this, there you go. So you can see here that we have all the things generated, and you can see also here we have multiple files being generated. Okay, so once this all is said and done, we'll continue on building the service. Create a hello service module. Okay, now as per usual, we clean up the identifiers for the project. Let's have the same group ID and start with version 1. Now for the dependency, we need to pull in all the dependency for this gRPC. And if you notice here, we only need one dependency for the gRPC server, right? We will use a netty server here. And then that's about it actually. We only need this. Another part is we will need the hello proto model because we define our ideal in different package. Okay, let me copy this gRPC. Dependency. This is the gRPC. Then we also need another dependency, which is our proto model, which we can go here, copy this identifier, and put it in here. There you go. Let's sync it up. Now the service should be ready to go. We can start writing it. Let's look at the plan on what we are going to write. I think I was building this pretty simple. Yeah, it's just the server and the service implementation. Okay, so basically the server is the server which where the gRPC native dependency come from to be used. And as we can see here, we build server, we start the server is pretty much as per expected. Another thing is this is the hello service implementation. This is where our hello model code generated Java is being used. As you can see, it extending the definition here from the hello service in MPL base. This is from the model, if you notice. Okay, and then we will just create the function, the operation that we actually say we do have. Let's do that. So com.code ng code engineering dot hello. Okay, let's do it's wrong. Refactor. I think I need to delete this first. Hello service EMPL. Okay, let's start from the implementations of the service, which will extending the hello service EMPL base. And then we will override the only operation we do have, which is the greetings. The way we can know is by reading the code. Basically, we need to do this. Right? Okay, so if you noticed, what we are building here, by the way, it will be just a normal blocking API. So it's not a streaming. But in gRPC Java code generated, it always been written as a what you call this? As stream a stream server, right? So that's where we need to be a little bit careful on how we do the implementation to make sure that the thing is actually running well. Just now I was just tidying up the import files, and now we have this. What happened here? We will just write a service that simply adds some string in front of it and then echo back what is the message from the request. Okay, and how do we do that? It's pretty simple. We use the response observer actually to communicate what we are going to respond based on what is the operation called to us. So on to respond here, we will use the on next, and the on next will have hello response in it. And in gRPC, it will always be using builder pattern. Okay, so that's how we build our response. And here in the message, set message, we'll put in server. Hi, I'm server. You said, and here you go, the request dot get message. Okay, then afterward, it's lagging. Okay, response observer dot on completed. Because this is a streaming, if you are finished with what you are going to send, you have to say uncompleted, or else it won't go there. Now we have our service implementation out of the service model we define here in the hello proto model. Once we got this, now we need the server that is able to route the request to the service. Let's just make this new Java class GRPC server, which is going to have public void static. What was it? Public static void main. So in IntelliJ you can do this PSVM, and they will have already abbreviation for it. And what you need here is you will need the gRPC server, the server from the gRPC. Okay, so final server, then it will be a server builder dot for port is it taking. Okay, build, and of course we need to add our service. This is where we add the hello implementation, hello service MPL. Okay, so that's basically the server. Then the server can start, and then of course it will possible to throw exception. Let's just put it up into this main. Finally, we will have await termination. Okay, so ideally it depends on how you want to lock the things. You can do this throw, for example, or you do a try catch and lock it yourself if you have already a plan on how to lock it better. If you are using example, most of the container things usually they can record any kind of exception, but of course if you manage the host yourself, probably it's not the case that when it's throw exception it will be logged somewhere. So you might want to do a try catch to make sure that whenever there is a problem like this, you have it logged so you can investigate it later on. Okay, so just be careful about throwing this out, because if you don't have it locked and it happens, it's just making it hard for you to investigate. For me, I do this like this, but later on in the future episode, for example, probably I will upgrade these things into having a log. But for now, let's just focus about the grpc. Okay, that's about it. So the server should be ready, then we can run the server. Meanwhile, while it's trying to build it, let's create another module for our Hello client. Similarly, let's tidy this up. Let's have the artifact having the same group ID. Okay. Now for there you go, the server is running. Yep, it's running now. So let's let the server runs there. Now for the dependency and so forth, let's look at here. So if you notice also, it will only need the grpc native shaded because most of the model dependency already been defined here in the hello proto model. Okay, let's just copy and paste this. Remember, this hello proto model, is it actually the right thing? Let me just copy this. Maybe I type a different name just in case. This is actually a local dependency, okay, to our proto model. Of course, when you are really in production, you will have your own Maven server. You already uploaded these things into Maven. It can depends on the Maven that you don't have this proto. You don't need to have this proto model in your local workspace. So that's about it for the dependency for the Hello client. Now the Hello client POM file is ready. Now what about the content? Okay, let's see. I think this one we make it pretty simple. Just a just a main function there. Okay, let's do this. Okay, once again, what we are going to build here is just a simple blocking client. Okay, it's just like it's almost just replacing our REST APIs. This is not about creating a streaming application. So let's do this. So we'll need the wait, not file, Java. New, why there is no Java? Oh, because this is SRC. New Java. Code engineering. Of course, this is the, let's say, consumer dot hello client and public static void main. Now how to build this? We first of all, because if you remember, the service generated by the GRPC Java generator is actually a streaming service, right? So it means we need to have a channel. So a channel is almost like the the one that is maintaining connection, network connection. Behind it, there it will manage network connection. Manage channel builder dot for address localhost 8080. Okay, and then use plain text. So this is because we just want to make a simple non-SSL one for our example, and usually you kinda okay. It is okay to do a non-SSL one if you are behind a private network. Okay, because SSL of course costs a little bit more, and if there is no significantly sensitive data in between, and you make sure that you have a good network architecture in terms of the what is separation between private and public network. Some implementation usually you don't need to have TLS, but of course if it is sensitive, it's better to take the cost of the encryption there and then do SSL. But of course it will increase your operational load because then your services need to also manage the TLS. But nowadays I think things are getting stronger about our computation, that it's better to do TLS. But for this example, let's focus on the GRPC and just use plain text for this. Okay, once the channel is done, actually what we need then is actually creating the stub that will use the channel and then call the functions. Okay, so what happened here, for example, let's do one call. What you need is a new, what is called, new blocking stub, or this hello service GRPC new blocking stub. Dot new blocking stub, taking on the channel. Then this is an important part. Okay, you need to have a deadline. This is the way in all server things you will say timeout. Basically in gRPC, a similar thing with timeout is a deadline. This is which is actually much more useful because deadline will, you can propagate this downward, and then you will know exactly what time left for your service to do their work. Okay, so for that, let's just make a simple deadline of 3000 milliseconds. Of course this is just an arbitrary number, but essentially you need to define your deadline, or else you can wait forever. Right, so this is for availability. Make sure you do this. Once you have this, then you can call the function. The greetings, hello request, new builder, set message, hi, I am a client. That's about it. Then you can get the response. Yeah. And actually, because we need to do this, if we want to do multiple calls, we need to do several times. Let's just do a function here. It will return, what will it return? Blocking stub. Hello service grpc dot blocking stub. New blocking stub. Okay, so of course in reality you will always have like a simple uh, a simple the same deadline for a service. Of course it will be configured somewhere, then you take it from the configuration, and then you want just to call it once for the same operation. It will be the same deadline things. And if you are actually having it propagated, of course you need to do it dynamically, right? So I'll just parse it down here. There you go. We will print it out, and to print system out, print learn, you can do sort here from server response dot get message. And if you want to call it twice, actually I'll just do this. Basically it's a good practice to always have final before the variable that you don't want to change the value in the future. So this is the second call. Okay, now we have this. Another thing is, as much as possible you need to reuse your channel, but you need to be aware that it could be a bottleneck too, because if you have many throughput, then you better have a pool of channel to handle that, but then you reuse the channel in between. Okay, so that will be another topic. Basically that's just a tease of it, that to make it good for production, try to balance the number of channel you are creating and try to balance the number of reuse of your channel. Now let's run this. Previously we already run our server, right? Now run our client and see if it works. There you go, it works. So that's about it, the Java basic things for beginners in gRPC and Java, and how we at least put the first step toward a real productions designs. Oh my god, there is a spider. Sorry for the interruption, but yeah, thank you for listening in. Bye.